the show about trust and that song from Chicago where he's puppeting the where'd you come from, Mississippi? Welcome to Generation Dan, the comedy podcast about generational differences. I'm Atlas Novak. I'm your millennial. Who else is here with me?
I'm Dino the Genetic Marvel, and I am just old as shit. That's basically where I fall in on this. And I'm just angry all the time, people. Maybe I have a problem. Maybe I have a solution. You never know. And our guest today?
And I'm Nina Dicker. And I actually don't know. I think I'm a millennial cusp, and then whatever comes after that.
Yeah.
Also called an elder millennial, which is the worst word. Like, let's be very clear.
Well, no, you're the elder millennial or Gen X or whatever the hell you are.
I'm the baby.
But that's not. That's not how that works. It's very. Yeah. As soon as
like
you throw elder into anything, you're like, you're probably a pervert. Yeah. So, welcome. It's New Year's Eve.
Yeah. Well, at the time of recording this.
Yeah.
For people hearing it, it's 2024, and I'm guessing you have flying cars by now, so you know.
Probably.
Just exploding ones.
Hope that's fun. Yeah.
Honestly, I have okay, just so you guys understand, right? You guys have how strict in your youth was the drinking age for you two? Can I ask that? Like
legally or like socially?
Yes. So like, was it a big deal? Like, could you still be like, yeah, we're gonna have some beers at somebody's house? Like, was it still like accepted, or were people harsher?
I will say the Christmas before I turned 21. So my birthday's in April, so it was basically 4 months before I was 21. I tried to. Well, my mom had me up until like 3 a.m. helping her with present stuff because I'm the oldest, and that's what happens. Sure. I tried to have a glass of wine with her. And she looked at me and went, "Nina, you can't do that." And I was like, "Mom, I'm 4 months away from being 21. We're in your house. It's 3 in the morning. I'm not going anywhere." She's terrified.
What about you, Atlas?
It's okay. I know, obviously, legally 21. In school, you had like people drinking at house parties and stuff. Yeah. But, in high school. I know my parents didn't really like put drinking as a taboo. Like, you can have a sip of dad's beer or, have a glass of wine at the holidays or whatever. And, because you're 10 or whatever, you get one sip, you're like, that's fucking disgusting. And they're like,
of course.
Yeah, it is. And
yep. And that's why you shouldn't have it. It's gross.
Yeah. And then, so it wasn't really much of a taboo. So by the time I was able to actually drink, it's like, it's fine. I like weed better. Like it's the more fun one, in my opinion.
So for me, 19 is the legal drinking age in Canada, which is fantastic. It's still insane, but at the same time, it's fine. In Greece, if you can pay for
it's
it,
like 6.
Have at it. Yeah. Nobody cares. It's like, can you pay for it? Yeah, and enjoy. Nobody gives a shit, right? Also where my house is it used to be a little village. Now it's got a few thousand people, but it was like people were like, yeah, I'm driving my tractor from work to the bar, and then I'm going to drive it the rest of the way home because I'm a degenerate. You're like, and you're just like, I mean, that sounds like a good time. It's beautiful weather. What are you going to do? Right. So for me, I could buy booze since I was 15 years old because I looked like this the entire time. Right. But when I turned 19 was also 2000, or it was 1999. So there was people were like,
oh,
everything might just shut down. I'm like, it's
Y2K,
people were actually like, is this real? And I'm like, I don't think it's a real thing. They're like, it might be real. I'm like, it's not. It's a pretend thing. Honestly, it's not. And people were like, you don't know. So we actually had a New Year's party at a buddy's house, and it was a banging of a party. It was great. And a couple of girls tried to keep pace with me, which I'm like, that is a horrible mistake. And it was they had a horrible time. I had fun. It was great. So, but yeah, it was very monumental. It was like, yeah, man, I became legal drinking age and then had a crazy, I was just going into college. Everything was happening. It was very exciting.
Yeah. I think I've told this story on the show before, but when I was a freshman in college, we snuck booze into the dorm and then poured some vodka sodas, and then the fire alarm went off, and then they all started checking rooms. And we were like, "We gotta hide it." I'm like, "What are you? There's no sink in here. We can't throw them out the window. So just, our goose is cooked." So we all got caught, and then that was it. Like, it's fine. I know I've told that story on this show before. I had to have.
I don't think so, but it's fucking hilarious. Like the idea of hiding alcohol, and I'm like, why? Like, just be cool. You'll find a place to drink. It's never like, in a dorm where they're like, you're not allowed, and I'm like, you're stupid. I pay to be here. I'm doing whatever I want.
The RA checking rooms and shit, and then like the
RA is a professional rat. Like they're the worst, right? Like they just seem. I've never been to a university, but I have seen a lot of movies that not all pornographic either. They're just normal movies in universities, and it seems like an RA is a piece of shit every time.
Yeah, and like the because you're looking after a hallway full of high schoolers.
Just get a taser. Just fucking, hey, you're stupid. Don't be stupid. You get the taser again, okay? Stupid. And they're like, won't be stupid. Okay, or else you get the fucking taser. Or just wake them up with a fucking smoke bomb. Just boom. Close the door. Yeah, that's fine. There's a way to control people. Like, listen, psychological welfare is a real thing. Nina knows, okay? Listen, you don't have the name Nina Dicker and not know how to mess with people's head. Okay?
It's true. It's true.
It's fair, right? I was 500 pounds. You have to know how to defend yourself. Right?
It's true.
I mean, you just have to hide in wherever the lost ark was, and then wait for them to spring a booby trap, and then roll after them. That's how you protect yourself. Yeah.
Listen, in a perfect world, Atlas, but there's a lot of engineering that goes behind that, the Temple of Doom type shit. Okay, it's a lot. I've tried.
I think I'm almost positive that my RAs hated me. They despised me because I slept through 2 fire alarms.
Nice.
And like in universities, I don't know if you know this, they make those so that it's humanly impossible to sleep through them. Yeah. So the first one I slept through, and everyone was like, "How did you do that?" It was a drill. The second one I slept through, but I was shaken awake by somebody, and I was still asleep and annoyed, so I turned over to go back to sleep, and I started coughing, and that's when I realized the fire alarm was going off and my room was full of smoke.
Oh, shit. Like for real, like it was supposed to be there. Okay.
Yeah. And I was
that's too bad, where you're like, oh, that could have gone really bad really quick.
Yeah. With the amount of health problems I have and like just things that I tend to do, I'm like, man, I should not be alive right now. Really, like maybe I shouldn't procreate. Maybe I shouldn't make more of these.
Well, maybe. Listen, it's part of your soulless power, right? Like you're like, ha, ginger wizard, bam.
Yeah.
I can sleep through anything.
Is it soullessness or is it the sleep apnea I was just diagnosed
with? Listen, you're obviously superhuman. There's only answer. That's only,
It's true.
I know that because the RAs are usually like a sophomore that stays behind, right? To be to like watch over the freshmen.
Wow.
I think. Well, anyway, so I took a gap year between high school and college. So when I got to college, I was the same age as the RA. So I just didn't respect them at all. The time we all got caught, the incident report has like an extra addendum of me being like
a dick.
No, like apparently it says Novak resisted when asked to throw the alcohol bottles away. The only resistance was they walked me over, like, made you pour it down the drain and then walk you over to the trash chute. They're like, throw it down the trash. I'm like, shouldn't we recycle these? They're glass and plastic. You have a thing over there saying you should recycle.
You're a menace, Atlas. You're a menace.
He refused.
It's like
he hit his limit, and he was like, "Listen, my line is recycling. Okay, I am born in California.
I was literally just being like, you gotta think. this is recyclable. Shouldn't we recycle it? And they were just like, just throw it down the trash chute. And I was like, all right, I don't care. But it was just so funny that they made a point of being like resistance. And I was like,
I want to make a shirt now where it's like Atlas dressed as like Che Guevara. Just like, it's like, this is recycling, you know? Just John has already hold on.
No, I'm dressed up as Leonidas. And this is recycling.
I mean, that works. We did. Happy New Year, John. And he has a quote from Bob Ross. You got to have a little sadness once in a while so you know when the good times come. I'm waiting on the good times now. I mean, after this past year, I feel like that is a reasonable thing. It's been a wild year, but a lot of people held on to some weirdness that you're like, hey, we're back in society. We're no longer living in our pajamas. Like, one can dream.
Speak for yourself, but that's
like realistically, but
yeah.
So
I'd like to talk about a little sadness I just experienced.
Go for it.
I never do this, but I fought a parking ticket recently.
Really?
Thank you.
Stick it to them. What happened?
But it got denied. I had to pay the ticket, and I want to show you a picture. Okay. I drive a blue Subaru, and I was ticketed for blocking a driveway.
Okay. All right.
And
was this in a residential neighborhood?
Yeah. I don't know if you can see that. That's my blue Subaru.
Yeah.
And my sister is standing in the driveway that I'm blocking.
Okay, so you're not blocking the driveway.
Yeah.
Right. Except I contested it online. They said no. And so then I contested it in person, and they sent me mail going, no. You're blocking the driveway. There's not enough evidence. You're blocking it. And I was like, what?
Like, no, so, you have to have.
I was like, no, you need to have I have my evidence. Where is yours?
Also, aren't there lines on the curb? And then you can see where my bumper's to the left of the line, therefore not blocking the driveway. What?
It's so stupid. I had to pay $68.
$68 for a parking ticket? Jesus.
Yeah.
Was this in Santa Monica? Santa Monica will fucking put the screws to you.
No, it was Hollywood.
Tickets. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't think we'd ever hear that statement. It's like Santa Monica will put the screws to
no, Santa Monica does not fuck around when it comes to parking tickets. Like, all of their signs, like where it's like one sign on top of the other on top of the other, and they're all contradictory, and like it's just a language you got to learn.
You know what else they do in Santa Monica? What? They send frickin' cop cars and like other cars through parking garages, and they randomly run plates to see if your registration is up to date, and if it's not, they'll tow your car out of the garage.
They'll tow your car? Wow.
That I haven't heard of.
It's happened to 2 of my coworkers.
Wow.
2 coworkers. And we're just like, are you joking? Unreal.
Honestly.
Like the type at like the promenade or whatever, or just any parking garage?
Any, but also specifically the one near the promenade.
Oh my God. That's fucking horrifying.
You heard it here. Don't park at the promenade if your registration is in question, people. Please be safe out there. Okay, live in a wild life.
Yeah, I mean the train drops you off at the promenade too. So that's Merry New Year, fucktards.
Merry New Year, fucktards. I mean, takes one to know one, sir. So you're welcome. That's fine.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. So, for the supposed episode topic, our one of our viewers sent us an episode idea,
talking about relationships and trust. And when bitches get crazy and break your trust, I mean, also men are dirty whores. I mean, we could talk about all sorts of stuff here.
I mean, especially as we're getting into the new year and should old acquaintances or whatever the fuck that song is. And
listen, this is the weird thing, right? Is that you're, staring down the barrel of marriage. I was about to say divorce. I'm like, no, marriage.
Yeah, the first one first. Jesus, yeah.
Sorry about that. I have a divorce in my past. I'm on my second marriage, and this one has worked out significantly better. So it's like, realistically, man, there's a lot of stories to tell on heartache that will definitely fuck with you. But I feel like I don't know. Is one of the biggest thing is I find for relationships is number one, talk about it. Have an uncomfortable conversation. Always. That is number one. Number two is you are on the same team, dipshits. You're not against each other. You're on the same side. So if you're fighting with your spouse on behalf of someone who is not your spouse, why? Why would you do this? I have had to have this conversation multiple times with my own wife. Okay. And I always bring it down to a friend of ours was invited to our wedding. And when they asked me, like, oh, do you want a vegetarian option? I said, no. And I'm like, if they want vegetarian, they can order the beef and eat the vegetables. Okay. That was like, and they were like, okay, well, people want vegetarian option. I go, okay, so am I going to get a deduction in cost if somebody orders vegetarian? They said, no. I'm like, good. Then I don't want it. I'm like, those are your options. You can order beef. Right. So this girl who was a friend of ours, I guess is still a friend. I don't know, whatever. So she was back with her on again, off again boyfriend, I guess. And she was like, hey, could I get a +1? And we're like, sure, no problem. And she's like, hey, he's vegetarian. So what should we do? Because I noticed there's no vegetarian option. I'm like, cool. Order the beef. He can eat the vegetables off it. And she's like, oh, but he really wants vegetarian. I'm like, no. That's it. And Victoria was like, we should be accommodating. I'm like, can I ask you a question? We are getting married. You're arguing on behalf of someone who we haven't invited this person. Okay, this is someone else of a friend of ours. And you're going to fight your husband on their behalf. And she just stopped and goes, yeah, okay, no vegetarian. I'm like, okay, there we go. Like, come on.
That needs to be like one of those like shitty, like live, laugh, love, like posters that people have in their house, but just like you're on the same team, dipshits. Like that's
definitely, yeah. Same team, idiot. Yeah. It was New Year's Eve 15 minutes ago. I'm drunk enough to bone you all and have no guilt if you're making breakfast. I mean, I am a passionate lover. That's fine.
Yeah.
I make a damn good
weirdest people.
I mean, I feel like at this point in life, like if someone's like, hey, we want to have breakfast, I'll be like, oh, if you're going to include breakfast, yeah, let's hang out. That's cool. I'm down, right? If you're going to also make food, I'm in for it. I'm still a fat guy on the inside. It's fine.
Everyone's a fat guy on the inside.
I mean, it's a great life.
If you have ever been fat, that never goes away.
No, thanks a lot, Atlas. I really appreciate that. Yeah, no. Thank you for that, dick. I feel personally attacked. Even now, I'm like since October of 2022 until now, I've lost like 140 pounds, right? So my total loss is 240. Now I'm like, what am I going to do this year? And I'm like, get a job? Sounds horrible. I'm like, ugh, I don't lost. Sounds gross.
So Henry Kissinger was apparently 158 pounds. So just keep going a little longer and you'll have lost a Henry Kissinger worth of weight.
Wow.
But he's also dead, so that's fun.
Well, technically,
always happy about that.
I've already lost more than him. I used to be the size of 2 fat people, and now I'm just 1 fat person. Very, very interesting. I performed mitosis on myself. I just cut myself in half. Fantastic. I don't know. How you guys? Okay, let's be honest. Everyone knows relationships are hard, right? They are not easy in any way, shape, or form. But the question is, like, hey, being single is also hard. Being hard to deal with is a hard decision. Being easy to deal with is also hard. But it's kind of like choose your hard, right? It's one of those things that like it's a worthwhile thing to consider. Where you're going, well, okay, I'm going to find another person. Ugh,
I know what you mean when you say choose your hard, but
this is the internet.
The thing that popped into my head was Choose Your Own Adventure Penis Edition. And I don't know why, but that's just what popped into my head.
Atlas had his bachelor party last night, and all I can think of is Halloween.
No, that's the bachelorette party.
Like Choose Your Own Hard is I mean, like that's legit. It was tough being single after I dated this one guy who I just like very quickly fell head over heels for.
Yeah.
And then he was cheating on me with a 55-year-old man, as one does.
As one does. Wow.
Yeah, it happens to all of us, right? Just me? No? Okay.
So
I don't think you could take responsibility for that. Like that is a them issue. Like they had to get that out of their system. I don't think
that
doesn't fall
okay.
on
So
you.
not only is he cheating on you, did you know he was gay before that?
Well, so we did talk about it, and he did insist that he was not gay. He was simply gay for pay, which is different.
Okay.
Okay, but was the sugar daddy going to pay for your stuff too? Because like,
no, the sugar daddy did not like me. He was like, "You're getting in the way of my thing," and I'm like, no, this is my thing." It was weird.
See, I am a firm believer that like you have to trust, but also like when you betray that trust, you're fucked. Like just don't be insane, right? Like because people get really really insane when they start acting untrustworthy, and you're like, hey, FYI, you're acting crazy. Maybe talk to somebody. Just have a friend. Do something.
The amount of men that I've strong armed into therapy, I should be rewarded a medal.
Fuck yeah. They should just be like shoving you in a time machine, like going back in time. Every fucked up man throughout history, like you just get them to go to therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing is therapy is not necessarily therapy anymore either, right? Like there's a lot because look, therapy, the only person that can fix you is you. Nobody else can fix you, right? So what their job is to allow you to walk through the process and just make sure you don't walk face first into a metal spike. Right? That's basically what a therapist is supposed to do. But the problem is like your therapy, it's a way of thinking of how you're going to go forward and handle things. But hey, like I personally am a very big advocate of the everything's okay alarm. You're like, I need to know that everything's fine because I won't come in and check in on you unless you've said, hey, I don't think I'm okay, but cool, man, I'll check in on you, no problem. But if you just don't say anything, I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna, right? That's where you're like, you need to ask for help, and especially just saying, yeah, I'm fine. Like, especially my wife constantly has been coming up to me and she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, nothing. And she's like, why is your face like that? I'm like, that's just my face.
Yeah, like
I just look grumpy all the time.
Yeah, that's the same with Katie. She's like, are you mad at me? I'm like, no,
just when you just say, yeah, you're taking away all my freedom.
No, just like having I think because my either deep in thought face or like daydreaming face is angry looking or
both look constipated. Yeah. Both look constipated for sure.
She also said I had resting bitch text too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, your texts all sound like you're a cunt?
It's not so much that. You know what I realized after she said that? It's because if you don't put an emoji with it, it doesn't it just automatically comes off angry or stern or whatever.
Tell my wife I say hello. I can just instead of hi. Yeah.
No, I have to add emojis to everything now, or else I feel like it comes off too aggressive. Also, oh my God, Atlas, I meant to tell you this recently. I had a few friends tell me that I have Tizz Rizz.
Tizz Rizz?
Yeah, it's autistic charm.
Oh.
That's what that means.
I mean,
that's so fucking funny. I didn't even know that was a thing. Tizz Rizz?
Tizz Rizz, because I was talking about being good at flirting, and my friends were like, "Oh, who told you that you were good at that?" And I was like, myself.
I'm great.
Yeah. And then they were like, asking people if they want to have sex with you isn't flirting. That's Tizz Rizz. And I was like, what?
I mean, it's still like it gets the job done, right?
It is a wild name. Be like, I got Tizz Rizz. I got this. And you're just like, all right, cool. At the same time, like realistically, that is I think the spectacular flirt. That is very much, exactly who your audience is. And you're like, hey, you're too dumb to figure this out there, bro. So let me just take your hand with this. Hey, You want to go do the horizontal mambo?
Autistic charm.
Yeah. But then I started thinking like, what is the opposite? Because I was like, there has to be another end of the spectrum. Because if Tizz Rizz is like autistic charm, then what's over here? Is it sadistic autistic, or like, is there something?
It's just the
Tizz Ront? I don't know.
The clashing of understanding of social cues between someone who's on the spectrum and someone who isn't. Where like just that not getting the tone of voice or whatever the thing is. So like there's Tizz Rizz over here, and I don't know, there's no name for it, but whatever the face. Other side is. Robot
Asian.
face.
It's also Asian. Asian is that other side. It's factual.
Tizz Rizz also
my
sounds
wife's
like
Asian.
It sounds like it could be the name of a soda, right?
Tizz Rizz?
Yeah. I guess it'd be Tizz Fizz, right?
Tizz Fizz.
I feel like Tizz Rizz also might be like a personal massager. Just,
yeah.
Like, get out your Tizz Rizz and have a time to yourself. I don't know. Treat yourself with Tizz Rizz. It's not a bad idea, people. I don't know. Listen, that's like, I've been like, I always try and understand other people's perspective, but then at some point, like, I get fed up. I'm like, your perspective is you're just dumb. You're just a dumb idiot, right? And like that's always been my frustration with dealing with other people, and I think I wear that on my face, right? Where you're just like, no, you're just too dumb to interact with. I don't want a part of this conversation. You're just like, I'm looking for an exit. Where can I go? Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But like that's I don't. Why do I have to be happy all the time? I'm like, I'm a 3-star person. I'm like, I get my 5s. I sometimes get my 1s. Sometimes no stars. That is those are days those are rough days, because you know what? I'll just tell people to go fuck themselves. Like, what'd you say? I'm like, I said, fuck you. What are you gonna do about it? Like, nothing, sir. I'm like, that's right. Just keep on trucking there, son.
Yeah, I've said it a lot on this show, but like, there's so much pressure in society to constantly be on, and that we're not as okay with just being medium or in the gray or a B+ or whatever, however you want to describe it.
Yeah.
Well, people constantly are like, "Oh, would you rate that experience 5 stars?" No, I bought toothpaste.
Yeah,
it's
but also
1 star because you had toothpaste.
But if an Uber driver ends up with like a 4-star thing, they get canned or something, right? Like
that's crazy. Also, never talk to me. Just if you see me get into your car, if I talk to you, I'm drunk. Just so you know. And I'll say some crazy shit. So turn on the camera. It's gonna be fucking cool. That is 100% factual. But
yeah, I mean, I think I think there's something to the exhaustion of having to be on all the time, especially when it comes to social media stuff. It's hard to be consistent if you're not constantly in some kind of persona, and I think sometimes that translates over to what people expect in a relationship. They want everyone to be on all the time, just in it, 100% on their game. And it's like, some days with your partner, you're going to have to, like, you're going to be at a 90% and they might be at a 10, or like you might be at a 50 and they're at a 30 and you maybe got to give that extra 20. Because then one day when you're at a 5, they're going to go ahead and give 95%.
Yeah.
It's like a give and take game that you just have to appreciate.
See, and that's one of the things that I always try and tell people. I'm like, because that comparison was like, it's 50-50. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's 100-100. It's actually 100-100. The problem is we're all shit at being human beings. That's the problem. So when we're trying to give 100, because then we're in a couple, that gives us 200. That's doubly good. The problem is we're too stupid to figure out that it's like, oh, no. I have to actually operate at a level of I can do this every day. If you can't, don't do that. That is the one thing that I always tell people. I'm like, bro, like when I see people with like a lot of accoutrements to their appearance, you're like, hey, that's not your face. Like that's a nice painting. It's great. Why are you trying? I saw a girl in high school was like, oh, I'm like, oh, hi, we have never met. I'm Dino. And they're like, it's me. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. They're like, oh, I'm not wearing makeup. And I'm like, I still don't know who you are. I'm like, I will not, like, not even tell. Like somebody who's like, oh, I was at the gym. Why didn't you see me? I'm like, because you don't look like the person I know anymore. That's why. You look gross.
I mean, even people just dye their hair a different color. So they'll be like waving from across the room, and I'll be like, do I know that person?
Uncle Leo?
Honestly, when people wave at me from across thing and they're like, hey, and I'm like, ugh. I just turn around, even if I like them, I'm like, gross. Ugh. I hate you.
There was at my sister's wedding back in August, like her best friend from high school. He was like, hey, and I didn't really recognize him, A, because I was sloshed, and B, because I hadn't seen him in like over 5 years at that point. And he was like, do you recognize me? I'm like, yeah, like just trying to like bullshit my way through the thing, through the interaction. And he's like, it's Alex. I'm like, Sones. And then, just completely, yeah. And then during Halloween, where we saw each other again, he was like, do you recognize me now? I'm like, yes, I know who you are.
You should just say no. Be like, I've never met you before in my life.
Never met you.
Yeah.
I had a guy who did that to me, where we've met like multiple times, like hung out, had beers at somebody's house, like had conversations, and he was like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. This is
and
why
I just looked at my friend and he was like, what the fuck just happened? I'm like, I don't know. And then he did it like 3 more times. I'm like, this guy's just a fucking loser. I'm like,
this is why you say great to see you, because if you've never met them, it's still an appropriate greeting. But if you have met them, it's also an appropriate greeting.
I will say, I hosted a show at Flappers last night. I've been hosting quite a few shows. It's a comedy club in Burbank, and
yeah, it is.
Yeah, and it's great. And Jimmy Brogan was on the show. He's a long time writer for The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and he's hilarious. I've been on several shows with him, and I have hosted a few shows with him in the lineup. He is quite an older man. He makes a lot of jokes about it. He's basically the grandpa of the club. And so I walked up to him to ask what he wanted his intro to the stage to be, and he went, oh, it's very nice to meet you. You know, like little old man. And I couldn't bring myself, because the last time this had happened, I went, yes, Jimmy, we know each other. And he was so embarrassed. And I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to do it again. But I couldn't bring myself to do it. So as I'm shaking his hand, he goes, nice to meet you. And I go, nice to meet you as well, Jimmy. Very nice to meet you.
A single tear, like,
I feel like at that point,
I was like, Grandpa, it's me. It's me.
Just for the bit, you should be like, we're related. I've seen you lots of times. And just be like, yeah, we're cousins. Yeah. And one should be like, we can't be cousins. Be like, oh yeah, we're definitely related. just and then when he's like, oh, I think that's my granddaughter or something, like, yeah, that's right, sure, absolutely factual. Yeah.
I was like, well, one day.
It's very awkward when you've enjoyed a conversation with people and then you see them and you're like, oh hey, and they're like, okay, and walk away. You're like, did I miss something? What the fuck is that? And I'm like, I'm a fun time, asshole. Like, it's very aggravating when people are like that. Yeah, because I'm like, I feel like there are a lot of people who are also skeezy, and they're like, they only talk with you if you can give them something, and you're like, oh, you're not a good person. I don't want to hang out with you. Right?
That's so much of LA too. So much of LA. It's so disheartening.
I look forward to visiting in a few weeks. I'm so excited.
Oh, they're gonna love you.
I mean, that's probably because I'll pay the money. That's usually how that works. That's
how that works.
Yeah, that's what got me married too. It's fine. No, it's fine. I was pretending to be rich, and she's like, "Sure, I want a rich guy." I'm like, "Ha, joke's on you. I'm a loser." It's great. I tell jokes. So,
I got him.
Yeah, it's good. But yeah, no, I don't know. I'm excited to be coming to LA just to try new things and everything, and see people that I've only seen as a box on my computer, right? So, yeah, and it should be interesting, but at the same time, I'm kind of like LA. I feel like it's going to be an earthquake as soon as I land. I don't know what's going to happen. It's very
probably
like, the one time I come out and everything falls into the sea. God damn it!
Gotta love the people who assume that earthquakes are going to happen every single day, and B, that we care.
That's the biggest thing too.
Like since 1994, I don't think anyone's ever been like, okay, like they've never not done that whenever an earthquake has happened.
I've been around this is like my second year living in LA, and I've experienced 2 earthquakes. One of them I slept through, whatever, but I've experienced 2 earthquakes.
You slept through a fire alarm, woman. There's a lot of things you can sleep through.
I was just like in a friend's living room, and it just went like this little bit, and I was like,
huh.
We just experienced it. It's mostly it's just people in LA going, did we just experience an earthquake? And they're texting someone like, hey, did you feel that? Was that an earthquake?
I was.
It was.
And then everyone posting about it on social media. Like,
I've had 2 experiences with earthquakes. The one was I was in Greece. I woke up to piss, and I was sharing a bedroom with one of my brothers because we were in the process of building a house. And I come out of the bathroom, and it's like we had like the screen door only closed, so we had like the moonlight coming in. So I come out of the bathroom, and I see him like just rocking back and forth, and I'm like, that's weird. I go back to bed, and then I wake up and I'm like, oh, 4 o'clock in the morning, there was an earthquake. I'm like, Fatty was rolling around. It was great. And then, what's up, Serge? Then another time I was sitting in an office processing a loan or something for a guy, and we started talking, and all of a sudden we both just go like this. And I'm like, did that just happen? He goes, that just happened. I'm like, did you drug me? He's like, I did not drug you. I'm like, did I drug you? He's like, no, but I am open to drugs. And I'm like, okay, well, that's good to know. And then it was like, let's internet. There was an earthquake. Ta-da! So exciting. But at the same time, I still consider myself as a giant land monster. So I touched down in LA, and all of a sudden it's like, bro, that was the weight limit, and just everything starts to tilt. You never know.
That was the weight limit.
One Dino per coast. As I move to that side.
Yeah, it keeps it in balance.
Yeah, keeps it in balance. There's one Dino in all of Los Angeles, and he's like, I got this. Don't come over here. And I'm like, no, I'm coming over.
Sorry. A designated Dino.
I mean, I feel like I have been that for so many people. I'm trying to make this into a joke where I'm at an age where there are friends of mine who will call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's not be like, bro, come to this party. It's more, hey, I think I just shit blood. Like, that's the phone call I get. And I gotta go, okay, let's stop for a second. When was the last time you ate beets? And they're like, I had beets yesterday. I'm like, there you go. Okay, here'd you find. Okay, so if you keep shitting blood, then we'll go. But right now, this is, but that's I'm the friend that people call. And I'm like, let's walk through what's going on. And yeah. But not for parties anymore. I did used to get calls usually around 1 o'clock, be like, yo, this is wicked party, come here. And I'm like, all right, fine. And then it would I would get there and things would get out of control every time. It was great. I used to be cool. It was a time.
You just reminded me. I have to come back on this podcast sometime in the next 5 months because I have to get surgery. I have to get rhinoplasty done because my nose is all fucked up. And I really want to come. I want to come on the podcast all drugged up with like 2 black eyes and my nose all fat.
Oh, absolutely. Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be hilarious.
We're going to pitch it as your entry into the UFC. And you're like, I had a good time. I had a good time.
It'll be like after I got my scar and I had the black eye. Yeah.
Yes. I'll be like, if Matt Rafe can do it, so can I.
Well, listen. He is gorgeous. Yeah. And then we got pictures like this of Atlas. And he's like, I was in a war. And, all right. And that's when we just go, there we go. One big eye.
How many because how many pictures does it allow you to keep on here,
like
on StreamYard?
40.
Wow.
Yeah, like I have quite a few on here. Like, this is me in the Iron Throne.
Oh my god,
the live concert experience.
It was actually very awesome. Come my buddy, come my buddy, sugar buddy. And then how do you always know where Kentucky is? Right there, it's on the pan.
Yeah.
Hey,
fun.
Every time. That's how you know where Kentucky is. I have a ton of shit like that, including like when I was like D for Dino. Oh, it was an onion ring.
Aw.
You look like one of the Impractical Jokers, like season 1.
Yeah.
Why do you have to insult me to my face? I'm like, I'm coming to your wedding. If anything, the danger is in your court.
I love the idea of like we meet each other for the first time in person, and then you just fucking punch me in the face.
I mean, I've done worse to people. Yeah. So yeah, that's fair. I'll do it after the ceremony at least. So it's like everyone will be like, you got the good pictures, and then you get the rough pictures.
Yeah, it's
just my knuckles across his like, oh god, yeah.
It's not a good reception unless someone has a black eye.
I mean, that's a good party. I was just looking at the invitation. It's like, okay, so this time, 10:30, we're done. Get the fuck out. And I'm like, oh, that's great. That is a great party. I like it.
That's what happens when your wedding is the bride is a morning person. And she's like, all right, I'm going to bed. Everyone leave or have the DJ play Sweet Caroline and get the fuck out.
Yeah, I was looking at my invitation. Oh, it's so weird. I didn't get an invitation. It's so strange. I must have been imagining that.
Yeah.
It's fine. Have a great wedding, you guys. It's going to be so fun.
We're driving up Saturday morning to SLO. You can just come. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have Wedding Crashers too. This time it's Dicker.
Yeah. And you got to kick in the door and be like, Big Dick's here.
Big Dick's here. Dicker the Wedding Crasher.
I mean, if anything, it will be hilarious. So that's fine.
Yeah.
Who's your Owen Wilson in that?
Cole.
Cole's the Owen Wilson.
Cole is like an invited wedding crasher, which I'm like, I'm there for.
Yeah.
Wow. He's walking around.
Yeah, he's like, wow. Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah. That's realistically it should be like even I'm also like already I've arranged like the first couple days. Well, Victoria arranged it. We're going to Universal VIP, and I'm just like, wow. I'm like, it's nice to have money, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to talk to anybody. It's gonna be great. And they're like, oh, it's all behind the scenes, and you don't have to deal with anybody. I'm like, nice. I'm like, and also I'm a lot bigger than normal rich people, so I'm like, I scare the shit out of them. It's great.
Amazing.
Like, I have money. I'm like, I'll rip your arms off. They're like, yes, sir. Please don't do that. I'm like, nah, now we're talking. Like,
love that.
Mickey Mouse won't save you now. It's fine.
Do you guys have your resolutions written out yet, or are we writing them at all? Or
well, I don't have resolutions per se, but I am trying to be better about making like an actual like year-long plan specifically for my stand-up and like comedy in general, because I kind of feel like the past like 2 years I've just kind of been like, oh, I hope I can do this, and then at the end of the year comes and I'm like, shit. I'm like, I forgot about a bunch of this stuff, and so now I wrote down kind of some through the year goals, and then how like what I would need to do, kind of like worked backwards on what I would need to do leading up to those. And so it's been kind of nice. I did I don't know if you saw, but there's a calendar on TikTok called Big Ass Calendar. I bought it. It was $50. I'm not proud of it, but I needed a large calendar for my wall.
That is a big ass calendar.
It's legit. It's like it's like massive. It's the entire year on one calendar. And it's like it's on like good paper. So that's why it's $50. We'll see how that works.
So what I've been doing for the last few years is what the Rothschilds do. So they have like a family meeting on New Year's Day, and they talk about where we failed last year and how we're going to fix it so it never happens again.
Wow.
I'm like, because like, look, having aspirations for this year is fine and dandy, but you don't know. Like, think about it. How many people had fucking goals in 2020? And they're like, 2019, you've been rough, but you know what? 2020 is going to be my year, and the world ended. You know, like it was insane, right? So many people got fat. They did not plan for that. I really made fun of them because I'm like, hey, you got really fat. And they're like, well, you are fat. I'm like, yeah, but I'm a lifer. It's different. And now I'm thin. It's weird. So But yeah, that's like, I'm like, I can never. Also, I do want to start instituting the idea of New Year's resolutions for evil instead of good.
I like that. I like
like
that.
what?
Maybe I'm gonna start smoking. Maybe I want to see if I can, get superpowers or learn how to skateboard. I'm a death-defying person. I'm just, why not? Swim with sharks. Punch a shark in the face. I don't know.
A few years ago, I learned that telling people about your plan to do something tricks your brain into thinking you've already done it, so you're less likely to do it.
True.
So, like, usually my resolutions are more nebulous. Like, for this year, it's save more money. Like, there's not a specific thing. Versus the plan, like, plans that I have to do something specific, I keep to myself, and then once it's done, then tell everybody.
And yeah, well, you're bragging before it happens, right? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, where you're like, I'm gonna, if I say I'm gonna save, $30,000 or whatever, that's not a thing. But like if I say that, and then by the end of the year, you're like, I saved $30. Fuck.
Oh no.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I don't really. But like, you can't not have a resolution because people are like, "Oh, come on, you don't want to self-improve in 2024 or whatever."
I'm trying to smoke more, and I want to gain a little bit more cushion. I feel like I've gotten too thin. I need to pack on some winter weight just for the coming snow. That's my resolution.
Yeah.
Aren't we in the dead of winter right now, though? Or
not in Canada, man. It's going to be cold for like until March here. It's fucking sucks. Yeah.
In LA, it's like it kind of is only just beginning. Like it's like high 40s right now or something.
Yeah.
That's t-shirt weather for me, bro. Okay.
It's terrible.
Yeah. People are like, oh, it's 10 degrees. I'm like, 10 degrees? What beach we're going to? All right, it's party.
Resolutions for evil. I'm trying to think of like what resolution for evil I'd want. Maybe, I don't know. It'd be fun to like see how many times I could take plan B until it doesn't work. Kind of like test it, for science.
Yeah, now, is it just after every single encounter, or do you, like on one encounter, like fucking 12 of them or something? Like,
no, after every single encounter. Because I mean, at some point, the plan B just has to be like, listen, bitch, like you tried it and it's not going to work.
This isn't for you anymore.
Yeah, you're going to need a professional for this one.
Your body has gotten used to the plan B. You need plan C.
Yeah.
I feel like there are other ways you could do it, especially as a woman in comedy. Like anytime you see somebody who gets shit-faced, you'd be like, hey, you assaulted me. And just tell them like a week later and be like, it's cool, but like you should talk to somebody about that. And they'll be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And just be like, yeah, you're very handsy. I didn't like it, but like we're cool. And just freak them the fuck out, just so when they're they really start second guessing their drinking, and you're like, it's cool, don't worry about it. Don't do it again. I don't like it. I said that to women. I had women who were drunk, and I'm like, yeah, you touched my wiener like 3 times. Like my wife was gonna kick your ass, and they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like 3 times. Like you were full on like, where's that big dick? Like it was, yeah. I'm like, it was really inappropriate. And they're just like, what the fuck is happening? And I'm like, nah, don't worry about it.
And you weren't even touching it provocatively. You were pressing it like it was a button. Boop,
yeah.
Boop, like you're still gonna get beat up, but you were touching it still.
You kept on trying to high five it with your whole forearm. And
I just don't understand how that happened.
Your whole forearm.
It's like one of those things where like also like last year, in the beginning of the year, we actually had a few like people invited us to like work parties and stuff, and I was like, yeah, cool, no problem. Because like I'm just a good time. Like I'm a lot better interacting like in a group of people or like at a wedding table and stuff like that. Like I'll just have people dying of laughter, right? And like I'm still trying to convert that to be on stage, which not so much. But ultimately like they'll bring us out and then they'll be like, oh, so how do you guys know each other? And I'm like, oh, we served in the French Foreign Legion, and then I walk away. And then they're like,
the best fucking comeback.
And they're just like, and then the person who invited me is now stuck there with people that they regularly see, thinking they were in the French Foreign Legion, because nobody's gonna call me later. I'm like, well, we're not supposed to talk about it. And they're just like, what is happening right now? And the best part is she was actually like she's very good at like just running with a gag, like she'll just be like, sure, like she's okay, like she's good in sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, I said that and I walked away and she's like, bro, don't ever do that again. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna get you again with that. She's like, that's not funny. I'm like, it's really funny. And like I like using that with people. Like I like going to places where I haven't met people just so I can pull that shit, because then they're just like I'm gonna get to the wedding and I'm like, people are like, oh, how do you know the bride and groom? And I'm like, oh, me and Atlas are in the French Foreign Legion. That's gonna be my answer. And that's why I'm like, I hope you sit me with people who I have no, like, how do you know Cole? He was there too.
He was there too.
Yeah. He used to be a dog, and we turned him with science into a man. That's what we did. It's just, if in my opinion, that makes complete sense. So
I would believe that. I
mean, it's like, nobody's gonna not believe it because you'll be like, what? And you're like, that's definitely how a dog looks at you. He's like, oh, like same look.
Yeah, just talk to him for a little bit. You'll understand.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about like weddings is that it's just you and your soon-to-be spouses. It's a crossover episode.
Yeah, shenanigans.
Yeah,
it is a crossover episode,
and it's like it's also like definitely like a season finale type episode. You're like, not only do we have two separate parties engaging, but also there's alcohol and food to be judged. Okay,
yeah,
let's have an opinion, and now we're gonna do lineups. Okay, and you're just like, what is happening, right?
Do you guys have an open bar?
No.
It is for Dino because I'm sending my bill to Atlas.
There's like two drinks and then like beer and wine and then that's it.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Better than a sober wedding.
Oh, fuck that. No. My fiance's family is Italian. If there was a sober wedding, we would be getting tased.
That's a reasonable.
They would borrow Dino's taser and tase all of us.
I mean, pretty good. Yeah. I told you I tried my taser on my hand, eh? Fucking hurt.
Oh my god.
So I bought it's cattle prod. It's like this long.
Yeah, those are the good ones.
Yeah, so I saw them on Amazon for sale. Yeah, no, it's right here.
Yeah, you don't want any of those bitch tasers.
Okay. No, I don't need that shit. I want distance, and I'm like, I was pressing the button, nothing happened, and then I'm like, maybe it just needs skin. And I touched my own hand to it, which was a mistake. And then it left 2 dots, like for a week. It was pretty. I was like,
okay,
all right, we're good.
I am both confused that Dino bought a cattle prod, and more confused that Nina's like, oh yeah, those are the good ones. Like like, do you have cattle prod expertise? Is that a thing?
No, she's in LA. She's got a gun. Just fucking. You want a piece of this bitch? Pow!
Because with tasers, like the little tiny ones, like not the ones. Because here's the thing: the police use tasers that have like they shoot out like the things the prongs that dig into you. Yeah. But so I think those are like illegal to have, and so the ones that you can get are the ones where you like bzz, bzz, and you gotta get real close to them.
Press it to them. Yeah.
But those don't do any damage. It's just like it's like a little like oh. But if the person doesn't get shocked by it, they can get it from you and use it on you.
Yeah.
And so cattle prods are meant for cows. They're meant for large animals. So it's better to use that on an attacker because that will really put them out for a second and it's less distance or more distance between you and the attacker.
It's 28 inches of fury.
Yeah, cattle prod 2024. That's
I just love the idea of like you have like a katana sheath and then just cattle prod.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen. That's just a word of advice, people. As long as you don't sharpen a screwdriver, you can just have it on your person.
It's not illegal.
Unscrewing things. Just don't sharpen it, okay? But there are screwdrivers you can buy that are sharp. Okay? Just FYI. Good to know. Yeah. And it does fit snugly in a tall boot.
Cattle Prod 2024 might be the title for this episode. I'm not sure.
I mean, that's better than dumpster fire the last 3 years, right? Like,
yeah, for real.
I can't remember. I saw a post where it was like somebody did a old acquaintance, and then it ended. It was like a parody of it about like, I hope it sucks less than the last 3 years combined or something.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Yeah,
that's a good. That's a low standard because they have.
I don't know. I kind of liked COVID. I kind of vibed with it. I like got so bored. I wrote a book. Like that's pretty lit.
I liked early stage COVID where there was no expectation to be doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
They were just like it's the survive. Yeah, like that's all you had to do was just don't fuck it up, don't die, and you'll be okay. But like the later stage COVID where it was like everybody wants to get back out there and we're all showing each other our feral cat personalities that we've all cultivated in the darkness.
I like that specific time when people started cutting holes in their mask and they're like, oh, this is much easier. And you're just like, oh, we've gotten that point. Nice.
Oh, no.
Nice.
I remember that.
And and you're just like, oh, yeah, I did it. It's much easier to breathe through. You're saying you shouldn't drive yourself. You should you should only take transit. That's what you should be limited to friends with cars and transit.
I gotta say, I was big on making sure I was masked in public spaces and like I was really proactive about masking. But I have to be honest, when I was on the road and I saw people wearing a mask while they were alone in their car, I was like, no,
guys, no,
this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I know maybe some people needed it, but not every person I saw. Not every person I saw. I was like, no.
It's one of those things where you're going, listen, who are you protecting yourself from? You're like, you're alone in a car. Mm-hmm. Are you thinking that it'll just fly into your car and attack you like a ghost? Because that is also not how science works, people.
I also wasn't staying in the city during COVID. I was staying in like a rural area in New Hampshire, and I would see people wearing masks in their car. I'm like, bitch, this is New Hampshire. We don't even have any cases because nobody lives here.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, that's fair. Also, New Hampshire, like you should be happy you didn't get murdered during that time. That's
also
like,
yeah.
Like, they were wearing masks because of the smell of murder. That's what it was. It wasn't COVID. They're like, oh, this is a murder area. You got to wear a mask. It's good, better for your thing.
New Hampshire's out there being like, New Hampshire, live free or die, but also live free because no one's here. It's empty.
Yeah. No one's here. It's just you and the meth, and that's it.
Bro, everyone has so many masks. My favorite was the zombie one. I mean, like, that's perfect. I saw a guy who has, like, it was a print of his own face with a mask down at the chin, but it was a mask. So people were like, you got to pull your mask up. He's like, I am wearing a mask. They're like, no, you got to pull your mask up because it looked like it was down here. And then he goes, what? And it covers his whole. He also had like a cartoon face, like where you're just like, what kind of weirdo faces you have? And he pulled it out, and they're like, now put it back up, fucker. And he's like, yeah, okay, I got you. You're like, that's cool. At the same time, take your jokes back on the street, bitch.
That's silly. So silly. So quirky.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, I feel like a lot of people, this has been a very weird stage in history, though, too, right? Like, because people, just to try to get some semblance of our topic out here, was the idea that there's so many people who are just like, I just want a partner to like trust and be trusted, right? Mm-hmm. But then a lot of people are just like, nope, I don't want that. And you're like, why? Why do you want to be alone? That's a horrible way to exist. It's very confusing. I have a couple friends who are dealing with breakup right now, and they're just like, what the hell? They're like, you did everything right, but no thanks. And you're like, why not? They're like, I just feel we're on two different paths. You're like, what the hell does that mean? Because we can go to the same place. Just let me know. I want to come too. Like, weird. Very peculiar.
I was on the other end of that. I broke up with somebody a few years ago, and I had to be the one to break it. And I gotta say, it was my fault. I didn't tell them anything. I didn't give them a clue as to what was going on. And I think that's also really important. Like, you gotta clue your partner in. You gotta let them know what you're thinking, so that you guys can make that decision together. Because if I had clued him in on everything, I think we could have come to the decision together to no longer be in a relationship, because everything was against us. But because I didn't clue him in, I didn't give him any information, I was like, I have to do this by myself. it was like I probably, ruined a potential friendship that could still be a thing. And so I think it's really, really important to maintain that communication, to nurture that like trust and
absolutely
friendship.
The fact that people don't on a regular basis and they're like, what's the big deal? You're like, no, it's a huge deal. Because if you don't communicate with your significant other, that's the person you should communicate the most with. So if you're not communicating with them, that reverberates through your entire existence, right? And like that's one of the things that I've always talked to my wife about. I'm like, look, listen, I don't really have my own space in this house, right? Just because just how it's worked out. And I'm like, so for me, that's uncomfortable. But I'm like, I'm doing that because it's better for our life. No problem, right? But at the same time, I will throw it right in her face and be like, listen, you talk about that kind of shit, but I don't have my own place. Like the closest thing to my area would be this desk, and it's a mess, right? So it's not. But that's the thing, is you have to communicate those things, right? But that's also, some people are just bad at relationships. Just so you guys know, there are people out there that just they're just bad people.
Some people are pieces of shit.
You heard it here from Big Dicker. Some people are just pieces of shit.
Put it on a shirt.
I mean, like, Big Dicker says some of you are pieces of shit. I'd vote for you. It's got to be that face too. The hey, you're a piece of shit. You're like,
hey. Look at that.
Well, listen, the idea where people are like, oh, I honestly, I do love watching the like Reddits where they'll like read out a story that somebody posted about like, 15 years and I've just found out like my 4 kids aren't mine, and you're like, what the fuck? And you're like, I read that kind of shit and I'm like, well, I don't read it. I'm like, if it's not narrating it to me, I'm like, I'm not gonna read it. I just want to hear, tell me a story, daddy. Just, Mr. Computer Voice, tell me a happy story so I can wallow in other people's pity. But like you hear about that and people are like, well, you've been their father, I just didn't have them with you, and you're like, where are you getting this logic, weirdos? Like,
crazy.
And then other times I'm just like, oh, these are just like the idea that I'm like, people are like, well, you can't regulate who should have parent or who should have kids and who shouldn't. And I'm like, no, but we probably should figure that out. Like I feel like that would solve a lot of issues that we're having these days. If it was like, well, listen, you don't necessarily, like, you can't fail it, but you have to take some courses, I think would be reasonable. It's like, hey, when you're communicating, if you have to yell, maybe take a break.
Like they have like, sex ed in school, and
that is not helpful.
Hang on. And they used to have home ec. I feel like they should have like relationship ec or whatever the fuck, like whatever.
Especially because the divorce rate is so high. Those parents are not teaching those kids how to have a healthy relationship.
No, they're teaching their kids horrible lessons. Be like, you have to be independent. No, you don't.
My parents are 0 for 2 and 0 for 3 on marriages. Like, this is not a good
oh my God.
byproduct going in.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you. Trying to break the cycle over here. We'll see how it goes.
I mean, listen, but on that note, like, seriously, that is one thing, is like, you have to break the cycle, right? So it's like, because one of the comments from John was that is like talking about people who have broken your trust and stuff. You're like, yes, those are horrible people, but also like it's one of those weird things where it's like, you not trusting again is not the solution, right? You have to become a better judge of character and have a higher value of how you deserve to be treated. Those are the learning lessons. It's not too, well, I'm just not going to trust anybody. Like that is how a child thinks about things, right?
It's the first act of like every, gruff, misanthropic character in a movie, and then by the end they learn to trust people. Like those kind of people who are like, I'm never going to trust again, shut it off after Act 1. They're like, all right, I figured it out.
Like, and see, I always be like, hey, don't make everyone suffer in a world without trust, because some piece of shit doesn't deserve your trust, right? They don't deserve your, like, that idea where people are like, oh, kill them with kindness. No, you don't deserve my kindness either. I'm going to tell you, you're a fucking idiot and go fuck yourself, right? Like I've told people, I'm like, hey, you know what? I think you would be more interested in going and fucking the wall. See you later. And just walk away. And people are like, did you tell him to fuck the wall? I'm like, I did. You just go fuck the wall. I don't.
And?
Yeah. Sorry. It's more interesting, and at least we'll get a good video out of it. So but that's the thing, is like you can't let other people dictate how you act. Otherwise, they win. Dirty bastards. That's how the commies get you. You guys know you're in LA, surrounded by communists.
It's true.
That's fair.
If only. Nina, where can people find you and follow you and all that good stuff?
The street in Hollywood, California. Or you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Nina Dicker. That's NINADICKER. If you're in the Los Angeles area, I have a few shows in January and February. Most notably, I'm in the championship for Flappers Clyde's Comedy Contest, and I could win $2,000.
Wow.
No.
So if you're around on January 3rd, come vote for me. And if you're not going to vote for me, it's on the 4th.
Don't go. Yeah, it's on the 4th. Don't go on the 4th through 7th. That's fine. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You can follow us at Generation Dan anywhere. Or me at Atlas Novak, also anywhere, or my other podcast at Nexus at Night. That's about a trading card game, and if you don't like that, I completely understand, because it's not for everybody.
It makes you a bad person.
Yes,
Dino. I am Dino the Genetic Marvel. Actually, it would be Dino the Genetic Marvel. That's
got it.
Don't do it backwards. Yeah, follow me everywhere. I'm trying to think of what I should be doing this year, because last year I was trying to do chin-ups, and I got COVID and I didn't get my chin up, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna start something different and then get into it. It should be good, but things are happening, people. Also, too, if I'm gonna talk with Nina after, though, if there are any gigs on the he's flying cross-eyed, you son of a bitch. Because I'm there on the I arrive on the 11th. Your wedding, it's on the 12th.
It's on the
January.
13th.
Yeah.
So
the 12th night, I'm gonna be around doing things. So we'll see. Maybe you'll see me in LA, people, and then people will be like, oh, you got to see this new fat guy. He's awesome. And I'll be like, I'm amazing. Now you all know. So anyways, this has been it. Yep. Talk to us, everybody. Subscribe and share, and we'll talk later. See ya.
Happy New Year.